Hi there, I'm Eve Aronson, co-founder of Fairspace, here to talk about Let's Talk, a co-created knowledge product on SRHR. Fairspace's vision is for a world where everyone feels safe, included, and respected. But we didn't do this alone. We created Let's Talk, a card game for young people to talk meaningfully about SRHR, together with Yaga from Burundi, Mesa Comunitaria from Colombia, ShareNet International, and our team here at Fairspace. Let's Talk was designed for youth aged 14 through 24. It's a card game, as well as a facilitator's guide, which includes useful tools and resources for youth leaders in their communities to help facilitate playing the game. The guide features chapters on rules of the game, trigger warning, talking about boundaries, general facilitation tips, how the game works, playing the game, earning points, as well as helpful resources, useful definitions on key SRHR words, accessibility tips, and more. One of the most unique things about Let's Talk was the process in which it was created. The game was co-created together with partners from 6 countries, as well as community, youth workers, social workers, municipalities, and technical partners. Let's Talk features topics including puberty, relationships, sex, and sexuality, all of which were identified and validated within the communities where we worked. The cards were divided into 4 main categories, as well as a co-created category. The show category included short scenarios that players read out loud and have discussions around. The cards were also able to be acted out through role-playing. The tell cards contained open questions and asked players to share what they thought based on their own experiences. The Mythbuster cards included common SRHR myths and misconceptions, as well as accurate information to debunk these myths. And the Icebreaker cards were light questions designed to simply encourage players to get to know each other and feel safe to share. The co-created card was a blank card and was an option for facilitators to handwrite new questions based on what made the most sense in their own contexts. But how do you play the game? Well, each player uses this spinning wheel to determine which card to choose. While playing the game, the facilitator's guide includes tips on not only how to facilitate, but what to do in situations that might arise during discussions or between players. As mentioned, the guide also includes hints for every single card that the facilitator can use should they maybe not have all of the knowledge about a certain topic or not necessarily know how to talk to the participants about the topic or how to answer them if they ask questions, etc. What was really unique about our process was really its participatory nature. We used a highly co-creative process where the target communities were part of the steps from the very beginning all the way to the production of the actual card game. For example, we shared a survey very early on to help us identify and validate the different topics that the cards would cover, as well as specific input on what types of questions young people had, what types of curiosities they had about these different topics, so that we knew what to focus on and we knew what would be most relevant and relatable to the young people that we targeted. In the end, we saw that this increased the sense of ownership, not only among the facilitators and our partner organizations involved in the project, as well as the youth themselves who played the game, that this was something that they enjoyed playing, that they got a lot out of, and that they also wanted to share with their friends. There were some key learnings that emerged from the process. The first was shared experiences are learning opportunities. And by this, we meant that just by having consistent weekly check-in moments, the members of the co-creation team were able to learn that their communities, the young people in their communities, did experience similar challenges and had similar questions and knowledge gaps about their SRHR. And this provided the core team with a pretty solid foundation on which the card content could be identified and prioritized, and also offered us as a core team the opportunities to exchange and share experiences discussing these topics with the young people in our communities. There was also a clear need for more gamified approaches to learning. And by this, we meant that youth participants in validation workshops expressed kind of a shared desire to engage with a gamified format like Let's Talk, because it gave them an accessible and a fun way to talk about difficult or taboo SRHR topics with each other. At the same time, we learned, that not all topics are created equal, that some topics remain taboo or could even be potentially dangerous to discuss in certain country contexts. Along with that, we also learned that virtual collaborations require extra intentionality to really succeed. So since our teams were across the globe, different time zones, everyone really had to be very intentional about their active participation in the process. And so organizing weekly meets during times that were within, as much as possible, the work-life balance boundaries of the core team, and taking the time to translate all of the discussions and decisions into Spanish, for example, for our Colombian partner, setting up a WhatsApp group for informal check-ins and sharing in between meets really proved to be effective ways to successfully collaborate. We learned that through our in-country validation workshop, it can be challenging to include a wide range of SRHR card content that's appropriate for younger youth and that also resonates with older youth. So that was something that we had to take along, and that eventually we found a middle ground for with our 14 to 24 age range. And lastly, in a future iteration, in addition to diversifying our age range, we'd also really like to focus on recruiting more gender diverse participants. With that, you might be wondering, how can I get involved in building a future where young people feel safe, comfortable, and empowered to talk about SRHR topics? There's some ways that you can support here, and of course, if you have other ideas, please feel free to reach out. One is to just ask us for a copy of the game. The other is to provide additional translations based on your country context, to share your feedback, to use the game to complement your existing work, or to reach out to us to fundraise together for further scale. Thanks so much for your time, and please feel free to email me at eve@fairspace.co for more information.